Hello everyone and welcome to another virtual pet unboxing video. This time I'm finally going to be looking at the Digital Monster Ver revivals. Now these were announced a few years ago and were released, and I slept on them originally, and the basis for that being that they were originally announced to be exactly the same as the 2017 released Digital Monster version 20th, which I already bought. I have these. I got them in 2017 as they were released, and they were very fun, and I loved them, and I thought they were really cool, and I just thought this was just a repackaging and reissue of the exact same thing. So I slept on them. However, when they actually came out, and because these were premium Bandai pre-order only, it was revealed that they actually did have some differences to the version 20th. And I was kind of annoyed that I didn't get them because, as I said, premium Bandai and pre-order only, as far as I'm aware at least. So I was hoping that we would get an English release of these. And then when the Wave 4 was originally announced, I thought that those would be the version revival finally in English. Finally, I could get my hands on them. But they turned out to be the version 20th again. So I finally got my hands on the actual version revivals, because as much as I love the DM20th, these have a few very cool quality of life differences, which they're not huge differences. They're still the same mostly, but the quality of life differences really do make an improvement on. I think I'm gonna start this one first. Although I'm starting both of them. So as you can see, from appearance, exactly the same as the DM20. The box itself is slightly different. We don't have the DM20th logo there. The top on the silver one is silver, but is just not any metallic colours on the version revival. And instead of version 20th, it says Ver Revival. The boxes themselves are also the same, depending on regardless of the colour inside it, and the back of it is also different. The version 20th talks about Zubamon being the new Digimon, while this one more talks about the version 5, and we've got some Digimon from each of those versions. So we've got the version 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 there, rather than having the new Digimon being shown off, but otherwise mostly the same in terms of the packaging. But yes, so the toy itself is the same in appearance as well. Got the version 1 background, the round batteries instead of the LR44s that are used in the classics, and yes, so let's start this up. So when we start up, it says Digimon R instead of Digimon 20th or Digimon V20. And let's start the time. So straight away, and this is something I've also heard from various other people as well, and that's that the screen is slightly lighter than the original Digital Monster 20th. So it's slightly clearer, but it's also slightly lighter. And we also still start off with the Agumon egg, so that similarity is still there. So yeah, it is more or less the same as this one here. I'll just show this off a little bit while we're waiting for it to hatch. And the number on the back is different. So while I'm waiting, maybe I should actually get some batteries for the original one, the original DM20th, not the original virtual pet. So I can actually compare the, I've got a hatching. And yes, it always starts with the Agumon egg. So I will put a battery in this one. I'm not even sure if there's any Digimon on it, or if it's a grave. Probably a grave. Did I put the batteries in? Did I put a flat battery in? And see how it's a lot darker, and it says Digimon 20th. And apparently, there we are, we have a Goblimon at least. So, actually I might change the time so it's during the day, because that's an idea. So the feeding options are the same, and yeah, it's kind of hard to see the screen compared to this one. See how it's a little bit clearer, and the other one's a little bit darker. I think this one seems a bit louder too. Also, something I noticed that when I started this one, it didn't prompt me for a nickname. Also, what I'm noticing is this button doesn't navigate through the menu, but it does on this one. Also, I'm noticing, I'll just go back, there's no DP, which is this one. So I'm guessing that I can just kind of train to my heart's extent, one of those words works. So that's something that's different, no DP. And if I go to this, okay, so they got rid of the password option as well, which used to be used for the online tournament website, which is no longer up, so that makes sense. So same as the DM20 English version. And a feature that I'm kind of a little bit sad about is on the DM20, where you put it to sleep, you can just put it to nap, so you can make it have a nap. On this one, I guess I can't do it when it's a baby maybe, but this one has the freezer, which is what we've seen on the Pendulum 20th, the Pendulum Z, and the DMX. So instead of making it nap, yeah, it just doesn't let me do it when it's a baby. It puts it in a freezer, which pauses the game. So a few differences there. So we've got the sleep functionality, the fact that we don't have the password or the nickname functionality. I've heard that to unlock the exclusive eggs, you only need to connect it to another Ver revival, so that's pretty cool. Instead of connecting it, in the case of the DM20, you have to connect it to 5 unique devices. This one, you only have to connect it to another Ver revival, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, no password, less connectivity requirements to get the exclusive egg. The contrast is a lot lighter, which is nice because it shows up so much nicer on video. No passwords, no nickname, and the feature that is probably my favorite out of everything, which is kind of hard to demonstrate on video, and it keeps on pooping anyway. They decrease the amount of poop that your Digimon makes, which is kind of the only negative I have about the DM20. I love the DM20th, but the fact that they've improved the pooping. There's still no sound when it poops, as far as I'm aware. It seems to be silent on this every time it poops, but it does poop less, which has got to be my favourite thing about it. I actually do miss the nap functionality. I use that quite often to put my Digimon to bed if I want to go to bed a little bit early, but the fact that I can freeze it indefinitely instead of just for a few hours, that's not too bad, so I'm not too torn up about it. Another feature, because there's no more naps, is that the time actually ticks down when your Digimon is asleep. On the DM20, the evolution time does not tick while it's asleep. So if I keep on putting it into nap mode, it will effectively never evolve, and it doesn't age. It kind of pauses the evolution counter. In the same way that putting in the freezer puts it on pause, the naps do the same. So in this one, when it's asleep, the evolution counter does tick down. So that's something I like as well. I'm fairly certain that they did increase the the time from baby 2 to child because of that, because previously it was like it takes a little bit longer because it sleeps, so they had a smaller evolution counter for baby to child. But in this one, I think they doubled it. I think it's like 6 hours on the DM20 and 12 hours on the Ver Revival. So I guess that makes sense because, as I mentioned, time goes down when it's asleep. So that's pretty cool. So a lot of welcome changes. I'm fairly certain I went over all of them. I'm definitely excited about it. Even though it's pooping constantly, it's still less poop than the DM20, which I'm a fan of. I do like the lighter screen. It is a lot easier to see. It reminds me more of the Digimon Originals because they had the lighter screen instead of this super dark. I think it's like high contrast when it's super dark like that. Like, look, it's really hard to see unless I put it exactly in the center there. On this one, like, it's pretty crystal clear actually. I do like that. Also makes me more nostalgic for the old ones. But yeah, so a weird little release that they advertise as being identical to the DM20, but even though it's not. And yeah, we have the brown one here, which is also the same, but with the anime Agumon exclusive egg, while this one has the anime Gabumon exclusive egg. And they just need to connect to each other and battle with each other or copy to each other in order to unlock that egg. And I'm fairly certain if you connect it to a DM20, you unlock, I think it's the Doraemon egg, but I'm not 100%. But yeah, so those are the differences between the two. Finally got my hands on it, which means I don't think I'm missing any moderns. I'm fairly certain, except for a few, like, different shells, but functionality-wise they're the same anyway. But yes, so that's exciting. Super happy to finally have my hands on them. Watch me confuse these two because they look the same when they're off, except for obviously when they're on, the screen is different. So yeah, very excited to finally have these. Just thought I'd run through those the differences because I hadn't covered them before. So yeah, that's it for the Ver Revival. Finally, let me know your comments in the comments section, which is typically where comments go. If you have any questions about the Ver Revival, anything that I didn't answer in this video, let me know in the comments section. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm trying to get around 300 subs this month before the end of August, which is when I'm recording it. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye!